Hi, I'm here today in the home of Mollie Love. She's a resident in Glastonbury, and I've come in her home today. I've known her for a few years now, and we've chatted, and she's done several things in Glastonbury, but she's also had a very interesting life. So I've asked her if she could just have a quick chat with me today. And anyway, this is a lovely, beautiful home here, and she's got here in Glastonbury. And Mollie, how did you first come to Glastonbury?
Well, I was living in Crete and had been there for about 12 or 13 years. And whilst there, I started training with OBOD, the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids, to be a Druid.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, there weren't, in fact, I don't think there was another Druid on the island of Crete.
Yeah, okay.
And so I started coming to Glastonbury because OBOD have their summer and winter gathering here every year. So
Okay.
I think that's probably the first time I came. I hadn't been to Glastonbury before. I have to admit I didn't know much about it till I got here. So I used to come and go between Crete and Glastonbury and do my training, etc. And then decided that after living out there all those years, which had been fantastic, I got a lot from it, and I'd had some Druid friends out there, and we did ceremonies out there. I decided to move back or to England, and so decided that as I like Glastonbury, I would settle here for the time being. So that's how I came.
That's lovely. And you talk about ceremonies. What sort of ceremonies? Do you still do ceremonies, or?
I do ceremonies. I do ceremonies.
And you work with the moon, don't you? Quite a lot.
I work with the moon, certainly with the full moon.
Yeah.
When I do peace meditations. But I also, being a Druid, we work with the sun, following the wheel of the year.
Yeah.
So I do sometimes on my own, sometimes with other people, sometimes I join other people. For the Wheel of the Year, as you know, we've just had Samhain, which is now celebrated commonly, as it were, as Halloween. So they're the main things I do. But I've done, over the years, I've done home blessings, I've done baby blessing,
that's lovely.
things like that, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not something I sort of concentrate on or advertise, but people who know me sometimes ask, would I work with them to do a ceremony.
What pulled you into being a Druid? What made you choose that path?
Yeah, I grew up following the Christian church, went to church when I was 3 with my grandmother, and around the age of 20 I suddenly realised, despite being very involved, Sunday school teacher, Christian fellowship, etc., I decided that it wasn't the right path for me. So as quite often happens for many people, I was in a sort of spiritual wilderness for quite some time. And I explored, I got very involved with Buddhism. There was a Jewish synagogue in Crete, and I used to go there regularly. And I started doing, well, I did do an Open University course on world religions. So I explored 6 different religions, 3 monotheistic and 3 non, like Buddhism, Sikhism and Hinduism. And although I got a lot of all of them, I didn't feel pulled enough to really commit. But what I realised, that on the fringes for many years had been the more pagan world, Wicca and Druidism and heathenism, etc. And when I was in Crete, I'd retired, or semi-retired, and I remember I was looking along my bookshelves one day, and I can't remember what for, but I suddenly saw a book on shamanism, and I thought, well, that looks interesting, and you know, how can it happen? I sat down and started reading it, and I thought, this is fantastic, and that was the start. I can't honestly say how I found OBOD, but obviously I did, and having read a lot more books on my shelves. And I did their introductory course, and that really affirmed that following a naturalistic way of being, a nature path, was the right one for me.
Yeah.
So I committed to do the full training, and I've now completed it, and
So
I'm
how
now a
long
Druid.
does the training take?
Well, it took me, I suppose, about 4 years,
Mm.
but you can do it at your own pace,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of work, which very enjoyable, I must say, get a lot out of it. So overall it took me about 4 years to complete, which, well, some people take years more, some people do it, you know, straight through in a year.
Yeah.
But for me, it was at the right pace.
Yeah. And now you're a full
And now I'm Druid.
a Druid.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And
a
have
Druid
you got
priestess.
a
Yes.
Druid priestess. And
Yes.
what can a Druid priestess do?
Well,
Baby
when,
blessings and
yes, sure. That as a
things.
celebrant, yes. When we've completed the Druid course, we're asked to think about how we now want to go out into the world, as it were, as Druid.
Yeah.
And there are several paths. There's celebrant, who would concentrate and build up working over the whole spectrum of being a celebrant.
Yeah.
Funerals, baby blessings, hand fastings.
Yeah.
That would be where they concentrated most. You can be a teacher, facilitator, running workshops and training and mentoring. Or you can do priestessing, and priestessing is where you would be working for the good of the community as a whole,
Yeah.
working for and helping people who are struggling
Yeah.
for whatever reason
Yeah.
at the moment. And you can be activists, and you don't have to just be one or the other, but most people concentrate on one aspect of
Yeah,
it, develop one
yeah.
aspect of it.
So it's
certainly.
quite a healing thing, isn't it? It's a good healer.
Yes,
Well,
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's.
And
really-
the main thing that overall that OBOD asks us to work for is peace.
Yeah.
And that's why every full moon, as OBOD members, we're asked either in our groves or individually to do a whole peace meditation and prayers for peace.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of people get misinterpreted about Druidism. They get a bit scared about something they don't know and don't understand. They just see horns and different. They don't really understand it, do they? And,
No.
and that is the main thing, isn't it? It's about peace and
It
healing
is.
and
And
And the
defending
good.
the earth.
Yeah,
We
and-
have a
and-
huge, well, you've probably seen it, Warriors Against Fracking.
yeah.
Many people very much involved in that. And there's a whole workshop the day after the winter gathering this year, talking
Yeah.
about how we can go forward on that. But you know, you mentioned the horns, the stag horns, and of course a lot of the rituals are based, or some, based on mythology.
Right.
And the horns would be Gwyn ap Nudd from one of the Welsh myths.
Yeah.
Or
Can you say that name
some-
again? What's that name again?
Gwyn ap Nudd,
Gwyn ap Nudd.
which is Gwyn, son of Nudd. And also, or Cernunnos,
Yeah.
you've heard of Cernunnos.
Yeah.
The god of the forest, the stags,
Yeah.
you know.
So there's a lot to learn, isn't there? But
There
it's,
is.
But as you said, it's really enjoyable. And
It's very satisfying, yes,
Mm.
very challenging at times, which it needs to be, and which, to complete it, shows that you've made a great commitment to it.
Yeah.
At the end of each grade, we're asked to submit something,
Mm.
and when that reaches a that people are satisfied with our tutors, we move on to the next grade until we find the final grade of
Yeah.
Druid.
What do you think Druidism has done for you personally, though, more than anything else? What's the main thing that you feel at one with more? You know, I mean, it's obviously close to nature and all those sort of things, but do you feel more, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what do you feel has been the biggest turning point for you with Druidism? Out of all the religions you've looked at and all the different aspects you've gone through?
I think I would say reconnecting with my ancestors.
Right.
What I discovered and what I felt was the whole of my ancestors, my pagan Druid ancestors behind me. And it did connect me with the world of nature in a way deeper. I always loved nature
Yeah.
and the sea, but it connected it me to it in a deeper way, learning about the spirits of the trees and the
Yeah.
druids.
And did you do that with a journey, or did you do that, you know, like a spiritual journey, or like a fire ritual?
Well, both really, you know, by learning,
Yeah.
reading,
Yeah.
working through the myths, various myths
Yeah.
and understandings, by experiencing, by going out and communicating, connecting
Yeah.
with trees or
Yeah.
water spirits, or so it was actually a real connecting
Yeah.
to nature in
Yeah.
a way than before, you know, going out and really appreciating it, but connecting to it and really understanding and accepting how we're all connected with this universal life force.
Yeah. And it
Or
must be
the-
so comforting to realise you're just one part of a bigger thing, a bigger, you know, the bigger picture, and like you say, meeting your ancestors, and it's just amazing, isn't it, really?
It is comforting to know that. It's also a responsibility, because what we have to recognise is that everything we do can have a knock-on effect on other people,
The
for
ripple
good or
effect,
not.
Yeah.
So if we don't, I mean, on a simplistic level, if we don't deal with our rubbish properly, say,
Yeah.
then that'll have a knock-on effect on other people.
Yeah.
If we're not recycling, if we're not,
Yeah.
so, and if we're just chopping down trees willy-nilly or
Yeah. It is a
throwing
big
rubbish in the sea.
responsibility.
So it's
Yeah.
realising that everything we do connects with other people, and with the whole of nature, including human nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is, you know, in that level it's a responsibility, yes. Yes.
What would you like to see for Druidism today? What would you like to see happen?
I think there's two things. Druids, many Druids, well obviously in the past they were older, but thinking now, we're getting out, a lot of us are getting older. Druid and Druidism and the way that works is out in nature, out in the groves and maybe up the mountains and things. And there are a number of us who can't do that in the same way.
Yeah. Can't
And-
physically get there or do it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be more recognition for not only older people, but people with handicaps, people who are deaf,
Yeah.
people who have, you know, poor sighted, etc. There needs to be more built into it in recognition of that. I think also, and this has been talked about, is a more contemplative aspect of Druidism, where, well, say the Buddhists, they have places where if you need a retreat, a solitary retreat, for whatever reason, you've got places to go and you then just fit in and work in the house. And again, it's something that's been around for a number of years, but it's a big thing to get hold of and needs a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I would like that.
Yeah.
think
That
really.
sounds a good way
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I think. Anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about anything else in Glastonbury that you would like to see? Anything you would like to see in Glastonbury? Or do you want to talk about?
The beauty of Glastonbury is anything goes, as we know, and we can all be as we want to be, and mostly we're all accepted, and I think that is fantastic. There is a lot of energy in Glastonbury, which we have to be aware of, or else it can take us over. And there's so much going on. We're told, come and do this, come and do this, come and do that. And people get attracted here because of the healing energy, the links with the Tor, etc. So we get a lot of disturbed people here. And if they aren't somehow picked up in a caring way and protected, then they can go over the top. So there's a high percentage of mental illness here. Now what I would like, and again the church, St. John's and other people have been mentioning it, but we're also getting an increasing number of people who are homeless, who drink a lot, drink to excess, a lot of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
There's more violence around since I came here.
Mm.
And I would like those of us, well, the whole community, but those of us who are working, like yourself, myself, other people from the Druid world, from the goddess world, from the church world, to somehow find a way of how we can support these people,
Yeah.
so that they're not on the streets, ending up being totally paralysed with drink or drugs, or getting into fights,
Mm.
and having, there are some people so young, what is their future?
Yeah.
Unless that somehow...
I think there's a definite gap in Glastonbury for the teenage years, and I think there's something needed there.
Yeah.
I really do think that we
Absolutely.
do need to focus on them quite a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is a lot of wisdom here, and a lot of very interesting people that've got a lot of knowledge. But like you said, we need to all come together as one. And I do feel, don't you? Do you feel it's coming quickly, and we do need to sort of stand up now, and show ourselves.
When I was in Crete, I started what I called then a multi-faith group.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
And I worked with the rabbi of the synagogue to get
Yeah.
it going, and we had Jewish people, people from the Catholic Church, people from the Protestant Church. We had people from the Greek Orthodox Church, Buddhists, and that seed was a really fantastic idea. Unfortunately, we got a born-again Christian. Now, not all born-again Christians are like this, but this poor man felt that he had a purpose in the world to convert us all.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the idea of the group was,
To accept.
how do you as a Buddhist do this? How do you as, following the Jewish, sharing and learning and understanding our similarities as opposed to our differences. I'd like to see something like that here,
Sounds
where we then all work as a group to see what we can do to raise the profile in the area for helping people who, as we've just mentioned, are in desperate need of help. That's what I'd like.
That's really good. I think that's a good idea as well. And I think if you get anything started, let me know, because I'll tell everybody else about it as well.
Well, I need people. I mean, I need people to come and join me.
Yeah.
And I have some ideas of, how to contact people. But I need to get a group of people who are willing to work. And it's not. I don't want it to be my group or my this. I want a group of people who feel like I do, so we all come together.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Well, thank you for giving me your time today, and it's been really interesting talking to you. And don't forget to subscribe, Danielle Silver Medium. Bye.
Bye.